Welcome to another day of creating art with me, Mrs. Hendricks. Today I'm going to teach you about an artist, and then I'm going to show you how to create some artwork similar to how he does. So we're going to learn about the artist Paul Cezanne. Paul Cezanne was a French painter. He was known for painting things called still lifes. What in the world is a still life? A still life is a picture of objects. So instead of being a portrait, a picture of people, or a landscape, a picture of the land, a still life means things are still not moving and they're objects. So a still life is a picture of objects. And today we are going to be doing a still life of some fruit. So if you have some fruit at home, you may want to gather those, because as we're drawing today, we're actually going to be looking at the objects as we draw. It makes it much easier to draw things as you look at them instead of trying to remember what they look like in your head. You can also learn more about Paul Cezanne by listening to the story called Cezanne and the Apple Boy, and I will link that for you guys as well. So let's get started. We're just going to gather our supplies and our fruit if you have some available. As we get started today, you're going to need a few supplies. If you have some fruit around your house, you might want to grab them to look at. You'll need a pencil, a Sharpie. If you don't have a Sharpie, you can also use a black crayon, and you need a white piece of paper. We are going to be starting by looking at the fruit we're drawing. We're going to do some oranges and apples. You'll notice they are a circular shape. So I'm going to practice some circles with my finger in the center of my paper. And then I'm going to carefully draw those circles. Now, apples and oranges are not perfect circles, so if they're a little lumpy and a little bumpy, that is a-okay. My apples are a bit larger than my oranges. I'm also going to have some behind. This is showing overlapping. Just don't have your lines going on top of each other. Now, to make these look like they're actually on a plate or in a bowl, I'm going to do a large circle around them. As I look at my fruit, I'll notice they're not just a circle, but they have different parts. So I'm adding that little dot in the center, that piece that comes off of my orange or clementine, and it has little lines that come off from it too. For my apple, where the stem is, I'm going to do a U shape. You can do it either up, right, or going down like I did. And then you'll add that line for your stem. I make my stem a little bit thicker than the U shape. Now that I have that completed, I'm going to do my placemat. I'm going to do a line or shape pattern in the background, or you can do a combination of both. This will take up your whole background. I am going to do some horizontal lines, and I stop whenever I get to the plate because the plate is on top of the placemat. I'm also going to draw some polka dots. I did not color my polka dots in because I will add those in later. Same thing if you wanted to do it with a Sharpie. Once we have ours drawn, it is time for that color. I'm going to go show you 3 different ways to add color depending on what you have at home. I'm going to start with some watercolor paints. I touch the brush in the water and I wipe it on the lip so it doesn't drip. I'm starting with a green. I'm going to do the green along the bottom of one of my apples. The reason I'm only doing the bottom is because I'm going to be showing a shadow. When I'm ready for my next color, I clean my brush, wipe it on the lip so it doesn't drip, and I'm going to add my shadows along the bottom of my oranges. As the oranges get overlapped, I draw a shadow on the one on the bottom. Cleaning my brush for some red, and this time I'm going to do a red apple. So I'm going to do a shadow along the side and along the bottom. I'm adding a little deeper of a color on top of my oranges just to make it look darker. Now I'm ready for yellow. Really make sure your brush is clean when you go to yellow. And I'm going to add yellow to each of the fruit. I let it even overlap and blend together as I paint the rest of it. Let those colors mix. Now my orange is a little too light, so I'm adding a lighter shade of orange on top. And I'm gonna add in a little bit more red, let it mix with that yellow. Now I can pick any colors I would like to finish my background. You will want one color for your plate and other colors for your placemat. There you have your still life painted with watercolors. Next up, we're gonna use markers. You're gonna wanna use regular washable markers for this, because I'm gonna show you how to make your markers look like you painted. I'm gonna start this time with the yellow. I like to outline all the way around my fruit and then fill it in. If I use the side of my marker and go in all the same direction, it helps me fill it in faster without any spot-itis or empty white spaces. I will continue this on each fruit. Make sure that top clicks. Now I'm gonna go into the oranges, and I'm gonna take the orange color and add that shadow along the bottom, just like I did when I used watercolor. Make sure that top clicks. I'll grab a green to do on one of the apples to make a green apple. And then I will continue this on the other apple with a red. Now that I have my marker part done, I'm going to use a paintbrush and a water cup to make this look like it was painted. I just need to wet my brush, and I'm going to take that wet brush and have it overlap right where the two colors meet. And I'll start to bring that orange lightly into my yellow space. Now don't rub too much or you could get a hole in your paper. And I will do that same thing on both of my apples. Now for the background, I am just going to outline along the designs I had done. I do not need to fill it all the way in. This is where my painting technique will really be shown. I just take the water on my brush and help spread it into the open spaces. Careful, because it will sometimes bleed. But there we have our marker painted still life. Next up is crayons. I'm going to use numerous colors to create those shadows. If I press harder with my crayon, it will make that color darker. I layered my greens, my light green, and my yellow to create that green apple. Remember, one color for the plate and numerous colors can be used for the backgrounds. Make sure you have no spot-itis. I can't wait to see what you create. Now that we have our Paul Cezanne artwork done, share those with me. Also, you can try a challenge of doing another one and trying some other fruit. Maybe you have other fruit in your home other than just an apple or a clementine. Maybe you have strawberries or pineapple. Can you look at those, figure out what shapes you would need to put together to create those, and add those into your own still life? I can't wait to see what you are creating.